Attention citizens. Nuclear strike imminent. Please exit the area at your earliest convenience. Thank you for your cooperation.
Yeah? Okay.
going on?
Bleh.
Yeah. Kimmy was in here for a little bit and then she left. And then I decided to leave the party. I'm like, eh.
I know she was in here. I talked to her.
Yeah. Getting a thunderstorm out there right now. Shouldn't be that bad though. Alexa, what's the weather?
The current weather is 82 degrees Fahrenheit with thunderstorms.
Okay.
Tonight expect clouds with thunder showers, with a low of 70 degrees.
That's nice. I wasn't going to go out there tonight anyway. Fuck it. I blew my nose earlier, and I was all fucking.
That happens when you have a cold.
I have a cold. I have a cough. Mucus coming out of me. Fucking ridiculous. Cold in the middle of summer, though, I found that kind of sus. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just saying. You know?
Well, flu season?
It's not even flu season yet. Flu season in winter. Alexa, play Within Temptation wireless.
Within Temptation
Alexa,
from
stop.
Nina's...
I don't want to hear our radio. No. Alexa, switch.
Now in Phil's account.
There we go. I know my music. You streaming?
Yes. On YouTube.
Switch it. Okay. Never mind. Never mind. Mm. Alexa, play Mystery Murder on Amazon Music.
Specific songs anytime
Alexa,
you
stop.
like.
Bitch. Alexa, play Murder Incorporated on Amazon Music.
Shuffling Murder Incorporated and similar songs
Alexa, stop.
on Amazon Music.
Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. Yeah, don't listen to me. Let's see. Alexa, play Morning Cup of Murder.
Playing Morning Cup of Murder from Amazon Music. Here's the latest episode. In Impulse Killing, July 13th, 2023. Some crimes are carefully planned out before they are executed. Others are acts of pure impulse. On July 13th, 2005, a young girl was born who would later be taken from her home by a man who claimed the entire thing was one big impulsive act. Sip your coffee hot, but your bones chilled. Sit back and start your day with a morning cup of murder. Jamie Lynn Floss, born July 13, 2005, was the only child born to James and Denise Floss, living in Barron, Wisconsin. A close family, the Flosses would have their entire world turned upside down by a 21-year-old man named Jake.
Dude, what's up with these murders in fucking Wisconsin? In the last time, how many years? What the fuck?
And take the thing that mattered to them.
Don't know, don't ask me.
Right.
According to his claim, Jake attempted to abduct 13-year-old Jamie Floss on October 5th. But seeing activity inside the home and fearful
I don't really keep track of that stuff.
and try again. The second attempt was pretty much exactly the same, but on October 15th, 2018, he finally made his move, armed this time with a shotgun. Forcing his way inside at 12:53 a.m., Jake parked his car at the end of the driveway and, wearing a black coat and ski mask, came to the front door armed with his weapon. When James, 56, pointed a light at the intruder through the glass pane in the front door and asked him to show him some sort of badge, Jake screamed out to open the fucking door and pulled the trigger. James, fatally wounded, lay there as Jake walked past the threshold and began checking everyone in the house who didn't leave behind any witnesses. Finding the bathroom door locked, he shot the handle and pushed his way inside to find 46-year-old Denise, who had already made a call to 911, comforting her terrified daughter. Though she did not speak to the operator who picked up that evening, they could hear some noise, yelling, and then the sound of a line going dead. When the dispatcher tried to call back, they reached Denise's voicemail. By this point, Jake had bound Jamie's wrists and ankles using duct tape and finished, shot, and killed Denise Floss. He then dragged Jamie outside, slipping in the blood that he spilled, placed her in the trunk, and drove off. About 20 seconds later, Jake pulled over to the emergency service and police vehicles could pass on their way to the Floss residence. Despite responding just 4 minutes after that 911 call, they were too late. While neighbors were telling police about the gunshots they heard but dismissed as hunting rifles out in the woods, Jake arrived at his cabin 70 miles away in rural Gordon, Wisconsin, and forced Jamie to change into a different pair of pajamas. He then told her to get under the mattress and sealed off any exits before going to sleep himself. Believing the young girl was far too scared to actually make any escape attempts, Jake never put any special locks on the doors during the 88 days to stay with him. During this time, she was forced to share a bed with her captor, was allowed only brief walks outside, and made to stay glued to his side at all times. Everything changed, however, when January 10, 2019 rolled around, and Jake told Jamie that he needed to leave for a couple hours. Taking her under the bed and boxing her inside with his belongings, Jamie waited until she heard him leave, pushed the objects aside, and ran from the cabin as fast as she could, wearing nothing but a t-shirt, leggings, and a pair of Jake's sneakers. Thankfully, she managed to find a woman named Jean Nutter, who just so happened to be out walking her dog. Dean recognized Jamie from his many years of production and quickly ushered her to a neighbor's home where they could hide out and call police. When officers arrived, Jamie bravely told them that Jake Patterson killed her parents, took her, kept her prisoner, and led them straight to his cabin. According to the neighbors present that day, Jamie was calm, quiet, and dazed from her experience. She was also surprised that they knew who she was, having no idea that her name and face had been plastered all over the news for months. Just minutes after arriving, Jamie's description of her captor led to Jake's arrest. When they pulled him over, he simply looked at the police and said to them, "I did it." While Jamie was being close to the hospital and placed in the custody of her aunt, Jake Patterson was being brought into the station for questioning. So, who exactly was Jake Thomas Patterson, and why did he commit such a heinous crime? According to his confession, Jake's parents divorced in 2007, and after graduating from a local high school in 2015, he enlisted in the Marines but was discharged after just a month. According to the police, Jake had no social media contact with Jamie or her family, and no one recognized him or his name. What he did say was that he once saw the young girl getting off the school bus the month before the abduction and murders, while driving home from work, and said that he, quote, knew that she was the girl he wanted. According to Jake's grandfather, he was a nice boy, shy, quiet, and never gave them any indication that something dark was brewing inside of him. He had no previous criminal record, and would later write a letter to the press stating that his decision to kill Jamie's parents and abduct her was committed, quote, mostly on impulse. Charged with 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide, 1 count of kidnapping, and 1 count of armed robbery, bail was set at $5 million, and on March 27, 2019, Jake Patterson pleaded guilty to the homicide and kidnapping charges. A few months later, he was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms without the chance for parole and an additional 40 years. Wanting to make Jamie come in for questioning, the authorities decided not to pursue the charges against Jake in regards to the 88 days she spent in captivity. They believed they had enough for the other charges to safely place him behind bars for the rest of his life. Despite the fact that, according to his own statements, he and Jamie were, quote, just like watching TV, playing board games, talking about stuff. We cooked a lot. Everything we made was homemade, you know. Jake Patterson was registered officially as a sex offender on June 20th, and the following month, sent to an out-of-state prison. Jamie Cross, who watched her family be ripped away from her and survived captivity, was awarded the $25,000 for saving herself. Thank you for joining me.
Nice.
Please join me again tomorrow when a terrible thing happened on July 14th. Don't forget to rate and subscribe and let me know how you like it. If you want to help support the podcast, there's always Patreon.
Alexa,
Sharing it with your true crime.
play the Crime Salad podcast.
Getting Crime Salad from Amazon Music. Here's the hint on the end. Welcome to the podcast Crime Salad, where we talk true crime. I'm your host Ashley, and with me also partner Kyle with me.
You alright?
Yeah.
Podcast is to honor victims
Okay.
of storytelling in the hopes of preventing future tragedies. We want our
I
stories to
moved my
resonate
base
with others and help
in Fallout 76 because somebody else's camp was way too close for comfort.
Now, before we jump
Gotcha.
in, please let us know that
In a small space, I made it smaller. By the way, I worked with the space.
Can you put games and folders on the PlayStation 5 or no?
I don't know. I have not figured that out. But they do have external hard drives for PlayStation 5s. You'd have to go onto Amazon to find them and input PlayStation 5 external hard drives, and they will pop up with a bunch of options.
Okay. Ugh. Okay.
I just haven't really had much money to get one for myself yet.
What, external hard drive?
Yes.
Yeah. I will get me another one, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm probably not going to play that many the games on the PlayStation 5, but I'll just keep them in my library. You know?
I might. That's why I want an external hard drive, so I can keep the games I actually play on it.
I believe I could use the one on the 4 for the 5 too, but I'm not too sure.
I don't know either. That's why I want to get one that is PlayStation 5 specific.
And as he was playing in the play area, inside the food court, there were kids running all around while the parents were mostly talking to the other adults there. I was just standing there watching my...
Anyway, I will be right back. I'm going to go get some food.
Alexa, previous.
Playing the common denominator. Lucy left
Alexa, previous.
Playing the common denominator. Lucy left part 2.
No. Alexa, previous.
Playing the common denominator. Lucy left part 1. There are lots of reasons.
Alexa, previous.
The Zoom Star Kids. Disappearance of Rosalía Gutierrez Jr. Kids get to know each other organically through conversation and sharing stories. I have known this, but Ricky and I started dating back in 2008 when we connected through MySpace. Something we both were very hesitant to tell people at the time.
Alexa, previous.
Playing Are You With Me? Eric Richards.
Alexa, previous.
Playing The Mastermind. The Murder of Seth Jackson.
I don't think I heard this one yet.
Hey guys, this is Keenan Thompson. I have a problem with you. Yes,
I don't know.
None of y'all told me that Auto Trader has millions of new and used
That's an ad.
I thought
I know.
I put a on your face, but I'm not smiling. No one told me that with Auto Trader, a dealer can deliver home, or that I could shop by price on Auto Trader. No one. Consider this friendship that you just learned we had officially over. Finally, it's easy. Auto Trader.
Walmart Plus members save on meeting up with friends.
Oh my god.
Save on having them over for dinner with free delivery with
Goodness gracious, what's with all the ads?
That I don't know. And I'm on my brother's account. I shouldn't have ads. I guess certain podcasts have ads. Some of them don't. Some of them are ad-free now, which is pretty cool.
Walmart Plus members save on this plus so much more. Start a 30-day free trial at walmartplus.com. Paramount Plus is a family. Separate registration required. See Walmart Plus terms and conditions. Welcome to the podcast, I'm Sally, and we talk true crime. I'm your host, Ashley, and this always is my husband, who's partner in crime. The purpose of this podcast is to honor the victims through ethical storytelling and the hopes of preventing future tragedies.
Goodness gracious, I am trying to melee here, and it's not working.
Now, before we jump in, please let us warn you that this is a true crime podcast. The details of this episode may be triggering to some. Listener discretion advised.
We know it's a true crime podcast. We know this. Just trying to get all this fucking mucus out of me. It's coming out little by little.
Hey guys, our listeners, this episode includes graphic details of the torture, murder, and dismemberment of a child They will give you a second warning and we strongly advise this no discretion. So we are going back to the year of 2011 where 5 friends are involved in the murder of a 15-year-old boy.
Wow.
This episode highlights the dangers of unsupervised teens, drugs, alcohol, peer pressure, and morality. Let's jump. So on April 17th of 2011, 15-year-old Amber Wright sent a text message to her ex-boyfriend, Seth Jackson. And in this text message, she asked Seth if he would be willing to meet her at a friend's house to talk about their past relationship. The text message was out of the blue because the two had recently been feuding on Facebook and saying terrible things about each other. Seth had accused Amber of cheating and using meth, while Amber accused Seth of mental and verbal abuse. Later, those claims would escalate to physical abuse as well, although there were never any corroborating text messages of these allegations. So the text message that was sent between Amber and Seth on Sunday, April 17th went as follows. Amber sent a text to Seth that said, "Well, I kind of need to talk to you about us working things out. Can you please call me like now? Don't sweat it. I want you to come over." And Seth replied, "Okay, I'm walking up the hill now. Amber, if you have me jumped, I will never give you the time of day again. So if I get jumped, say goodbye." And Amber replies, "I swear you're not Seth. I could never do that to you. I just want you and me back." Now, during their conversation, Seth's friend Brittany expressed that Amber's invitation was a trap and warned him not to go, fearing that Amber's new boyfriend, Michael Vargo, would beat him up. Despite Brittany's warning, Amber's invitation turned out to be genuine, and Brittany's fears of him getting beat up were pretty accurate. However, Amber's true intentions were much more sinister than a simple jumping. She had orchestrated a murder by manipulating a group of individuals to carry out a horrific and heinous act and take Seth's life without blame. Now, by all accounts, the two 15-year-olds were a dysfunctional relationship that included very little adult supervision. The two involved in a sexual relationship with allegations of cheating and abuse. They both resided at the Bellevue Estates mobile home park, and as Amber's mother would later say, the entire park was their playground. She felt safe allowing her children to run around the neighborhood freely. Now, before we discuss the murder, let's discuss the alleged motive of all of the people involved. Seth broke up with Amber when he discovered that she had cheated on him with 18-year-old Michael Vargo. Michael had bounced around from family member to family member when he wound up living with 18-year-old Charlie Ely. Charlie was living in the mobile home estates with her husband, who went to prison on a probation violation. While her husband was in prison, she allowed her home to become a teen hangout. She was close friends with Amber, and the two were often together. Charlie had recently allowed Michael Vargo to move in along with 20-year-old Jason Soto. It would eventually come out that Jason, whom they all as Roach, was also Charlie's secret boyfriend. Now, the other person involved in this murder conspiracy was 16-year-old Kyle Cooper. Due to family dynamics, he had been living with Charlie for about a week at the time of Seth's murder. Kyle and Amber were also half-siblings. Seth had recently begun hanging out with a girl, which gave him extra incentive and motive to kill Seth. Michael allegedly wanted to kill Seth because Amber had lied about him abusing and raping her. Jason wanted to kill Seth because it seemed like a fun way to pass the time. Now, later, Charlie would tell law enforcement the only reason she agreed to help kill Seth was that she allegedly got caught up in the group's mob mentality. Mob mentality is a phenomenon in which individuals in a group or a crowd may exhibit different behavior or decision-making than they would if they were alone. In a mob or a group setting, people can become more likely to engage in impulsive or irrational behavior, often spurred by a desire to conform to the group's actions or to follow the lead of a particularly influential member. The group dynamic can also lead to a sense of not being able to get caught or having no personal responsibility, which can result in individuals acting in ways that they may not act otherwise. And this seems to be exactly what happened with the teen killers, as evidenced by the fact that they all seemed shocked when they discovered they were considered criminally responsible under the eyes of the law. And for some reason, the group believed that since Michael was the main aggressor, he was solely responsible. Well, they were all in for a big lesson on the criminal justice system.
Unfortunately, time doesn't heal all things. And even if it did, why keep your weekend waiting? If a sports injury is holding you back from staying active, Ortho Carolina is there to get you back on your feet and fast. Our dedicated specialists bring their expertise in sports medicine to prioritize a full, speedy recovery for every patient. So when you hit a setback that slows you down, don't get comfortable. Get better. Ortho Carolina, the better choice.
Walmart Plus members save on meeting up with friends. Save on having them over for dinner with free delivery with no hidden fees or markups. That's groceries, plus napkins, plus that vegetable chopper to make things a bit easier. Plus, members save on gas to go meet them in their neck of the woods. Plus, when you're ready for the ultimate sign of friendship, start a show together with your included Paramount Plus. Smart Plus members save on this plus so much more. Start a 30-day free trial at WalmartPlus.com. Paramount Plus is Central Plan only. Separate registration required. See Walmart Plus terms and conditions.
At Discount Tire, we know your time is valuable. Get 40% shorter average wait time when you buy and book online. Did you know Discount Tire now sells wiper blades? Check out our current deals at DiscountTire.com or stop in and talk to an associate today. Discount Tire. Let's get you to you can.
Freshly cracked egg, melty cheese, and hickory smoked bacon.
Where's that coming from? Fuck
Cheddar
off!
biscuit. Sounds perfect, right? What if we told you can get 2 for just $6.49?
Printed ads are going fucking YouTube.
The cheddar biscuit, only Jack in the Box. Price and participation may vary.
Goodness. I'm not trying to advertise anything.
Right.
Except for maybe my gameplay.
Later, Kyle would say in a police interrogation room for his stepsister Anna
Where's that
that he
darn
thought
video?
Seth deserved to die.
Goodness, I gotta turn it off. Oh, there we go.
Lay hands on my sister, end quote.
That was a radio in the game. I found it and I turned it off.
All of these allegations were true. It didn't give any of these teens the right to take Seth's life. At 15 years old, he was still just a child. By all accounts, Seth was a beloved son and brother. He went to Bellevue High School and dreamed of one day becoming a professional UFC fighter. He had only been dating Amber for 3 months when he discovered that she had cheated on him with Michael. According to social media, their breakup was bitter, with both Amber and Seth doing their best to make the other one jealous. Seth's parents stated that their son was heartbroken over the breakup and took it really hard. Eventually, his sorrow turned to bitterness, which he took to Facebook, where his grammar and context could have used some parental intervention. In one post he wrote, "I wish I could go back and change things. I'm so sick of being lied to and used." As the lead, he wrote, quote, "Hello everybody, my name is Amber Wright and I smoke meth every day. I love this stuff because I'm a slut." In another, he stated, quote, "You wanted this, Amber, so yeah, like I said in my song to you, you did this to yourself." In another, he wrote, quote, "I'm single now, hit me up. I don't have a trick now." In more on his post, threatening to beat up Michael for sleeping with his girlfriend. Amber also made several posts on Facebook about Seth, including one in which she wrote, quote, "I'm so done with boys. They all suck. I'm single and ready to mingle." In a reply comment to Seth, Amber wrote, quote, "It's all good. Run your mouth all you want. I know I'm 10 times better than you. It takes a real man to accept the fact that he got broken up with. But it's obvious here that you're not being a man about the situation. You're being a little kid about it. And I'm not talking shit. I'm speaking the truth. And you know that just as much as I do." The taunting through Facebook escalated the negativity between all parties and ultimately made each of them believe that murdering Seth because of his post was justified. Michael Bargo harbored an intense hatred for Seth and threatened on numerous occasions to kill him. In fact, a few days before the killing, Seth's mom heard Michael confront her son outside their home. He taunted Seth and told him, quote, "I have a bullet with your name on it." At just 18 years old, Michael already had a criminal record that included burglary, theft, and statutory rape, a lesson he hadn't learned by, again, dating someone underage. Michael took to carrying around a gun and flexing it constantly. In early April, Michael and Amber's stepbrother Kyle challenged Seth and his friend Justin to a fight at Charlie Ely's trailer. When Seth and Justin approached Charlie's trailer, they heard gunfire and left. Later, Michael would say that he only shot his gun to scare them off. But on April 17th, everything changed. Suddenly, Michael had that Seth had to die. He convinced Kyle and Justin that Seth should die for allegedly threatening to burn down Charlie's trailer. With Amber and Charlie's help, they coldly and casually planned Seth's murder. Michael convinced Amber to send Seth the messages, luring him over to Charlie's trailer. Amber was quite convincing in her messages that she wanted to work things out with Seth and get back together with him. Even when his friend Brittany warned him that this was most likely a trap, he still couldn't keep himself from believing Amber's lies. Somewhere in Seth's gut, he feared this was a trap. At first, he only agreed to walk to the corner where he was met by Charlie. Still sensing that this was a trap, he made an excuse for why he couldn't go to Charlie's home. When Amber and Charlie returned without Seth, the three boys were livid, and Amber, hoping to produce results this time, again contacted Seth, begging him to come back to Charlie's house so they could be together. Obviously, she lied, promising that this wasn't a trap and he wouldn't be playing each other. Going against his gut feelings, he came to Charlie's trailer and sat down at the kitchen table, while Amber pretended to get water from his tank. Her stepbrother Kyle came from the back bedroom and hit Seth over the head with a piece of wood. The unexpected attack momentarily stunned Seth. As he stood up, Michael and Justin came from the bedroom where Michael shot him several times. Running on pure adrenaline and fear, Seth managed to get out of the front door with Justin holding onto his shirt trying to stop him from leaving. Justin and Kyle tackled him in the front yard in front of one of Charlie's neighbors. Later, she would testify that she just thought this was boys being boys. Once they dragged him back inside, Seth's fate was sealed. The three boys kicked and punched Seth until they thought he was unconscious. Michael shot him several more times, believing that he was now dead. Justin and Michael dragged Seth into the bathtub, where Michael smashed his kneecaps so that they could fit him inside of a blue sleeping bag. But that's when they realized that Seth was still alive. Michael shot him one last time in the face, ending any chance of survival. Once they were able to get him into the blue sleeping bag, they dragged his body out to the backyard and placed him inside of a burn pit. They used fuel and paint from 3 large 5-gallon paint buckets as an extinguisher. All 5 of them gathered around the burn pit, drinking beer and celebrating their kill. At one point, the fire got so high that it got dangerously close to a nearby tree. The neighbors were so concerned by the fire that they went over to talk to Charlie, who was happy and giggling. They were just having a bonfire with friends. At some point, Amber and Michael went to bed, and Jason stayed up all night, doing his best to burn Seth's body into oblivion. You know the old saying that 2 can keep a secret if one of them is dead? Well, this was never going to stay a secret amongst the 5 of them. This was never a secret. It turns out that Amber and Kyle's stepfather knew all about the plan to kill Seth a few days earlier. He arrived the next morning while Michael was removing the teeth from what was left of Seth's skull. He brought cinder blocks and cable ties and helped scoop what was left of Seth into 3 5-gallon paint buckets. Then he drove Michael and Justin to a remote waterfront rock quarry in Oakland County. where they tied cinder blocks to the buckets and sunk Seth's remains into the dark depths of the quarry water.
Now, the very next day, there was a news report on the TV that Seth Jackson was missing. Kyle told his mom that he knew what happened to Seth. He told her that he watched Amber's boyfriend kill Seth before his eyes, leaving him traumatized. So Kyle's mom immediately took both Amber and Kyle down to the police station so they could help them recover Seth's body and arrest Michael. The only problem was that Kyle left out both his and Amber's involvement in the killing. When investigators spoke with Kyle, they got a much different version of what happened with Seth. In Kyle's first version, he told detectives that they all agreed to beat up Seth, but no one knew that Michael planned to shoot and kill Seth, which of course was a lie. He told investigators that out of nowhere, Michael came from a back bedroom and escalated a planned beating into an unplanned murder. Kyle told police this traumatized and angered him. However, little by little, he began admitting to more and more involvement. Because he was just 16 years old, his mother was present for much of the interrogation, and she would leave frequently to be with Amber in another room where she, too, was being interrogated. And each time Kyle's mom left the room, his theory began to change. Finally, the interrogator told him that she knew he was more involved than he was saying, and he was trying to protect certain people. And that person specifically was his stepfather, who we will discuss in detail. Now, Kyle, he stuck to his original story for as long as he could. At first, he stuck to the story that it was a planned beating due to Seth's treatment of his sister. He also left out the part where they lured Seth to Charlie's home. Instead, he told detectives that Seth just happened to show up at Charlie's door asking to speak with Amber. And when he did this, this enraged Kyle, who took a piece of a little girlfriend and hit Seth with it and yelled at him to leave and never bother her sister again. He told investigators that he refused to help Michael and Jason drag Seth to the bathtub where they smashed his knees and contemplated dismembering him. Kyle believed since he refused to drag Seth to the bathtub, this lessened his level of responsibility. While Kyle was trying to prove that this was in fact a premeditated attack, she slowly began asking questions until Kyle revealed more of the plan. Throughout the interview, Kyle cried and said he didn't want to get in trouble and he didn't want to go to jail. The investigator sidestepped this concern by telling Kyle that she was after the truth. She asked him several times how Michael, who didn't drive a car or own a car, how he was able to leave money. Each time Kyle insisted he was sleeping and didn't know how to Michael move or hide his body. She told him that the problem with this story was that Charlie and Amber were in different interview rooms who were also being interrogated, and their stories were different. She told Kyle that she wanted to help him, but only if he were honest. She told him to have one last chance to tell the truth. Finally, Kyle admitted that there was a plan to kill Seth in place several days earlier. One of the people involved was 37-year-old James Havens. He was Amber and Kyle's father. It was James who helped Michael dispose of Seth's remains and also took him to a relative's house in Gainesville where he could hide out. In exchange for his help, James asked Michael for help locating Amber's biological father. And it was Amber who put an end to that plan. She told Michael while she had issues with her father, she didn't want him dead. According to Kyle, Michael had a plan to kill at least 8 more people and become an assassin for hire. The day prior, Michael added 2 teardrop tattoos to his face, symbolizing 2 other people he had allegedly killed. He told the group that Seth was going to be his father. Kyle told the investigator that Michael didn't have a job and his father was on drugs. Even with this new version of events, which was closer to the truth, Kyle still tried his best to mitigate his involvement. But this was impossible given the fact that Charlie, Amber, and Jason were also being interrogated. In another interrogation room, 18-year-old Charlie Ely had people she wanted to protect too. It was someone different than who Kyle wanted to protect. Like Kyle, she first told investigators that Seth came to her house on his own looking for Amber. She left out the text messages or the fact that they met Seth on the corner, trying to lure him back to her house. She told investigators that Kyle was sitting on the couch in the living room, fuming. Near his feet was a piece of wood from a broken door frame. And she told investigators that out of nowhere, Amber's brother Kyle came to Seth and hit him over the head with a piece of wood, which stunned him. She stated that both her and Amber were in shock and ran to her back bedroom and hid inside the bathroom. Once inside the bathroom, Charlie and Amber heard gunfire, and a few minutes later, they allegedly heard more gunfire. Charlie explained that Kyle had beef with Seth because he had previously, quote, laid hands on him. She told investigators that after they heard the gunfire, Michael came to her room and threatened both her and Amber. He told her that if anyone asked, she didn't hear anything. He also instructed her to stay in their room or he would have 2 more bodies on his hands. Charlie said that she heard commotion in the back of the house and eventually she thought she might have smelled smoke and she thought maybe Michael was using the fire pit behind her home. Charlie told investigators that the next day she and Amber woke up between 11 a.m. and noon. And when the investigator asked more direct questions about the fire pit, she claimed that she had a stuffy nose from allergies, so she didn't really see or smell anything different. And by smell, she means that she didn't smell them burning Seth's body all night, or the fact that they all surrounded his body and drank and socialized around the bonfire. Of course, she left that part out. When pushed for more details, Charlie stated that the only thing she noticed out of the ordinary was the shower doors had been removed from the guest bathroom. Charlie also conveniently noted 2 missing 5-gallon cans of paint and cleaning supplies, and remembered that the burn pit looked like it had recently been used. When asked if Amber had any involvement in Seth's death, she said that Amber was with her the entire time, hiding in her room, and had 0 involvement.
Just in and so good. Thousands of summer deals at your Nordstrom Rack store. Save big on the season's best new arrivals. From Free People, Adidas, Kurt Geiger London, Steve Madden, and more. Starting at just $30.
Alexa, fast forward
Seriously.
1 minute.
From getting engaged to getting married, Zola is here for all the ways along the way. Start planning at Zola.com. That's ZOLA.com.
Now, Charlie must have short-term memory issues, or she's an outright liar. When she was confronted with the details shared by Kyle, her story changed. She admitted that there was a plan for Seth, although she never believed it was a real plan. This is a recurring theme with all of the members involved in Seth's death. None of them believed that Seth would have died, which they all believed would clear them of criminal responsibility. She admitted to 90% of what Kyle shared. However, in her version, Jason Soto was not home and had 0 involvement. And when they asked why she chose to protect him, she said because he was scared and asked her to leave him out of it. In truth, she was dating Jason while her husband was in jail, and she was trying to protect him. She cried into investigators that she couldn't go to jail because she was pregnant. But we know from court records that she never gave birth to a child. She admitted to never having pregnancy confirmed by a doctor, and she could likely have been mistaken, or she could have been lying in hopes being pregnant would garner her sympathy. When Jason was interrogated, he was extremely present on the day of Seth's murder. He told the investigators he hadn't been in trouble since he was a juvenile and had plans to join the military and turn his life around. And when he was confronted with the details that the others shared, he had more to add to that story. He admitted that there was
One of them out of 2.
Yeah.
However, he claimed that his involvement was limited to hitting Seth with a broken axe handle and helping Michael drag him to the bathroom. Incredulously, he complained about a painful knee injury he sustained while wrestling Seth to the ground and dragging him back inside the trailer. He said when Michael shot Seth in the face, he was standing in the doorway and had very little involvement. Again, like the others, Jason thought that this would somehow absolve him of criminal responsibility.
Now, he eventually admitted to burning Seth's body and helping to dispose of his remains in 3 5-gallon buckets at Rock Court. Now, each time police interrogated one of the parties, they each gave up a little bit more information about Seth's murder. In a strategic decision, law enforcement decided to put Amber, Charlie, and Kyle into the same room and for them while waiting. At one point, they all began crying, saying they can't go to jail, and it was all Michael's fault. Amber seemed concerned that everyone was going to hate them for killing Seth, and she didn't let them 5 years in jail. For some reason, she thought that she was only going to spend 5 years in jail, and she would be released 20 years old. Charlie, who was 18, cried the hardest because she didn't have any phone numbers memorized, and she wouldn't be able to call her mother-in-law for help. She was also worried, being that she was 18 years old, that she would be charged as an adult and go to prison for much longer than Kyle and Amber. And Kyle, he still felt like Seth's death was justified because Seth had allegedly threatened to burn down Charlie's house and kill Michael. He also allegedly hit Amber. This was something that Amber would clear up years later in an interview with Piers Morgan. Now, the most surprising was James Havens, the 37-year-old who was Amber and Kyle's stepfather. He had no problem lying to investigators, and any suggestions that they made he admitted to easily. At first, he denied knowing about the plot. He denied taking Michael and Jason to dispose of Seth's remains, and he denied asking Michael to kill Amber's biological father. When they asked him why, as a father and 37-year-old man, he got caught up in a murder pact with teenagers, he had no answer. The detective asked him if Michael forced him to participate. He said yes. When they asked if Michael held a gun to him, he said yes. When they told him he was lying, he said that he was lying. He too tried the "I didn't think that they were serious" defense, and it worked. While he was originally arrested as an accessory after the fact, eventually all the charges against him were dropped in exchange for his cooperation. Now, Michael Bargo, who denied any involvement in Seth's murder, was deemed the ringleader of the group. He was convicted of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to death in 2013 and became the youngest person on Florida's death row.
Damn.
Michael's lawyers appealed his death sentence, arguing that the judge made errors during the sentencing phase of the trial. In 2016, the returned Michael's death sentence and ordered a new sentencing hearing. During the new hearing, the defense argued that Michael was intellectually disabled and therefore ineligible for the death penalty. However, the jury ultimately recommended the death penalty once again, and the judge agreed to reinstate his death sentence. The decision was based on several factors, including the heinous nature of the crime and the fact that Michael had exhibited a lack of remorse. The judge also noted that Michael's intellectual disability claim was not supported by the evidence presented during the hearing. Michael had previously been diagnosed as bipolar, but that diagnosis has changed to schizoaffective disorder, which is a mental health condition that combines schizophrenia and mood disorders such as bipolar or major depressive disorder. It is a relatively rare condition and affects approximately 0.3% of the general population. While Michael remains on death row, his case is still in the appeals process and may take several more years before a final decision is made.
Jesus
Amber Wright was
Christ.
charged as an adult and convicted of first-degree murder. She was originally sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. That sentence was vacated due to a U.S. Supreme Court ruling stating that juveniles cannot be sentenced to mandatory life without parole, as it violates the Eighth Amendment's probability of cruel and unusual punishment. During her sentencing, her lawyers argued that she was a victim of abuse and manipulation by Michael, who was ringleader of the group. They also presented evidence of Amber's history of trauma and mental health struggles. The judge ultimately agreed that Amber had experienced a difficult upbringing, but her actions were still egregious and warranted a significant sentence. The judge stated that the new sentence provided Amber a chance to be rehabilitated and potentially reintegrated into society. The new sentence would make her eligible for parole after serving a minimum of 25 years in prison. Charlie Ely was convicted of accessory after the fact to first and sentenced to 10 years in prison. In 2012, high-profile criminal defense attorney Jose Baez, who famously represented Casey Anthony, took up Charlie's appeal. Baez argued that Charlie's sentence was too harsh and that she should be released from prison. Baez's argument focused on Charlie's limited role in the murder and her history of abuse and trauma. He had also argued that Charlie had showed remorse for her actions and had made significant progress in her rehabilitation while in prison. In 2021, her appeal was successful and Charlie was released from prison. Kyle Cooper pleaded guilty to first-degree murder to avoid a death sentence. He was sentenced to life in prison without any bail. Dustin Soto was also convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In an interview Amber gave to Piers Morgan for his Women Who Kill series, she expressed regret and remorse for her actions. She admitted to manipulating Michael and referred to herself as a monster. In the prosecution, they believed that she was the mastermind of Seth's senseless and horrific murder. The peer pressure and mob mentality that led to Seth Jackson's murder were rooted in a toxic mix of jealousy, revenge, and a desire for acceptance among a group of young individuals. And she was jealous when Seth started dating another girl, and she wanted to get revenge. She turned her new boyfriend, Michael Gargo, and a group of her friends who all shared her animosity towards Seth. And together, they conspired to lure Seth to a house under false pretenses, where they proceeded to beat, shoot, and ultimately kill her. The group's actions were fueled by a sense of belonging and loyalty to each other, and they were willing to do anything to impress and prove themselves to one another. The tragedy highlights the dangers of peer pressure and the negative consequences of blindly following the actions of others without considering the impact on others. So, who was the real mastermind behind Seth's horrific and senseless crime? According to Amber, it was Michael. She testified against him at the trial, telling the jury that she was afraid of him, and he threatened to kill her and her family if she didn't lure Seth to
I
his
have
house.
2 rooms on the first
However, after
floor.
5 years in prison,
One of
Amber
them is
finally
completely
admitted that she was
empty.
jealous, manipulative,
And I have 2 rooms on the
monstrous,
top floor.
and left Seth
One of
to his
them is a
hopeless
smaller
death.
room, and
That
that one
sounds very
is
much
completely
like
empty.
Mastermind. We're going to end this episode with
And
a
then I
few
have
shout-outs
another
this
room
week. Thank you,
that has
Valerie,
stairs
Amy,
Alexa,
to it,
previous.
which
Shane,
has
Amber,
my
Diana Lovejoy.
sleeping bag in it and a shelf.
Whether you're running a restaurant or running your backyard barbecue, Chef Store has it all. Think wide selection of national and exclusive food